So hello and welcome back yet again to another thrilling installment of Exploring Azeroth with Beryl. And today we are going to do half, because it's a very big zone with lots of cool stuff in it, half of the Valley of the Four Winds. The Valley of the Four Winds is probably one of my favorite zones in Pandaria, and that's saying a lot because I really do love most of Pandaria. It's just, honestly, it's a beautiful zone, and the Valley of the Four Winds is known as the breadbasket of Pandaria for its lush farms and its fertile soil. It's honestly, like I said, it's one of my favorite areas, and you are guided through it by the Storm Stouts, who are fascinating. It's absolutely beautiful. There's not a lot going on in this corner of Pandaria that we're in right now. Just kind of beautiful hills. The day that I filmed this, as you can see, it was a bit of a stormy day in the valley, but rain will make all of the crops grow, and that can always just be considered a very good thing. So we're flying over the Yangtze River, which is definitely a nod to I think it's the Shanxi River in China. No pink dolphins in this river, but there are some interesting little things along the way, including this very, very sleepy sun-grazed behemoth, which you can get Mushin ribs from if you happen to need those for your Pandaren cooking. But the first stop, as I said, if you are coming in from the Jade Forest, is going to be your very first thing you see as you cross the bridge is Chen Stormstout and his niece Lily, and they are, honestly, they're a delight. If you haven't done the quest chain, I 100% recommend that you do it. It's actually a lot of fun. You end up getting a couple of wonderful toys out of it, and as a collector, anything that gives me a toy makes me happy. But what makes me even happier is the bickering between Lily and Chen.
What you doing? Come on, Uncle Chen. What are we waiting for?
Relax, Lily. We have all the time in the world to explore Pandaria. Take some time to enjoy the trip.
I would enjoy the trip more if we were actually going somewhere.
So as you see, Lily is very impatient, and your first stop on your journey with the Storm Stouts is Pangs Stead. It is the home of Pang Thunderfoot, the owner of the Thunderfoot Fields in the Valley of the Four Winds. It's also the location of the Thunderfoot Inn. It is the only inn on the east side of the valley. It's also a questing hub that will have you fighting vermin and gathering crops and sending you kind of to all of the local exciting hotspots. Like I said, you're going to be fighting vermin, and then once you are done with that fight, you can come back here and do a little bit more questing with everybody. Now this area, the Thunderfoot Farm, is actually the area of one of my favorite quests where you get to punt marmots. I don't think Blizzard's ever put gnome punting in, but you can kick these marmots, and when you're done with that quest, you will actually get your very own puntable marmot toy. Now, the toy actually comes with a crash helmet on, which I find incredibly funny and incredibly cute. So yeah, if you're wondering where people get the puntable marmot toy, they got it in Pandaria. and it's a really easy little quest to do. You fill in some holes, you kick some marmots, and Anna Thunderfoot hands you a puntable marmot toy that you can keep forever. So that's always a good thing. Or if you're just feeling stressed, you can just come out here and punt some marmots, just for giggles. I won't tell. So on we go from the Thunderfoot farm where we were punting marmots, and our next stop is yet another farm. It is the Thunderfoot Ranch, where they're having some trouble. They've lost some of their pigs. They also have a wayward sheep that will lead you into the next quest, but the pigs are mostly their concern. I'm not sure that I want to eat Pandaren pork, considering here at the Thunderfoot Ranch, we are feeding our pigs on Mushin flank and turtle meat. Seems a little suspicious to me, but, you know, who am I to say what is the best thing to feed a pig? Also, this is where you can pick up the breadcrumb quests that will lead you up to Kunlai Summit, and an area that I'm not really sure if it's technically part of the Valley of the Four Winds, but we're going to go check it out anyway, just because it's one of my favorites. Also, for the Thunderfoots, you do have to find 3 of their pigs. One of them is over by the stairs that we will get to later. One is in the pond near the turtles, and one is just out wandering the fields. So after you're done with that, you go on over here to this poor kid. Poor Francis is having issues. These birds are stealing his sheep. The wolves are stealing his sheep, and honestly, I feel for him. It's also one of the gorier quests in WoW, because if the birds actually pick up a sheep and you shoot the bird, they drop the sheep. Messily. So, yeah. It's an interesting little quest chain. The sheep land basically as lamb chops. You know, it is what it is. But Francis is going to send you out. He wants you to take care of some of the thieving plainshawks and a couple of the wolves, and then his master shows up, and you do a little bit of wrangling where you actually end up roping one of the big monstrous hawks, the big white ones that are flying all over the valley. You have to rope one of those and fight it on its back. It's a fun little quest, and like I said, you are guided through all of this by Chen and Lily, who are a delight. So after you take care of Francis's little problem, you go back over and basically you get some deliveries, and one of the wonderful Mushin that is domesticated takes care of everything for you. But before we go on with Chen and Lily, I figured we would investigate the 100 steps, the 100 stairs, the path of 100 steps, whatever it's called. It is a really interesting place, and it does hold one of Lore Master Cho's scrolls. So if you read those, you get a lot of history of Pandaria, and it's a really good thing to just actually read. And if you're not into reading it, you know, definitely at least collect it, because you can get a flying mount, which is one of my favorites for my mage characters. So if you follow the 100 steps and the path all the way to the top, you come to the Tavern in the Mist. So what most people know about the Tavern in the Mist, other than the fact that it's situated right below a raid, which makes it a very popular destination once you have the flight point, is it is the home of a young Wrathion. This is a pre-glow-up Wrathion. This is Wrathion in his Cataclysm form, which is almost as terrible looking as Anduin's Pandaria form. I said Cataclysm, didn't I? Oh well, you know, sometimes you just misspeak. But you can come in here, and this is one of my biggest regrets, is that I took a World of Warcraft break during the end of Mists of Pandaria, so I never did the legendary quest chain to get the cloak with Wrathion, and I regret that now. I kind of wish that World of Warcraft would just let me get it. I'm such a completionist, it makes me sad that I never got it. Wrathion tells you his story, lets you know that he is not aligned with either the Black Dragonflight, who he does not trust, or the Red Dragonflight, who kidnapped and tinkered with his egg. He doesn't like any of them, and he has gathered quite the crew of followers, including the two known only as Left and Right, his bodyguards. I'm assuming that the legendary cloak might have been in this treasure chest that's back here, but even the guy I was talking to there says he doesn't have a clue what's in that thing. Who knows? There's a couple other fun little things about the Tavern of the Mists, and one of those is the hot tub full of hosen out back. It's one of the few hot tubs in the game, and if you don't mind sharing it with some hosen traders, it seems like a pretty fun place to hang out. There is also a very interesting occupant of the Tavern of the Mists, but he only occupies it if you consider the fact that he lives under it. And that is Tweak the Vermin. He is sleeping off some sort of a party that he must have had here under the tavern. He's got leftover takeout, he's got some veggies, and some very suspicious mushrooms and bottles laying around, and no matter how much you poke him, he will not wake up, which just honestly makes me laugh like a lunatic. Other than that, the tavern doesn't really have much, except upstairs there is I'm guessing it's like a Go set. I looked at it, I thought it was chess for a minute, but looking at it, I think it's either shogi or Go, or maybe it's mahjong. But I think from what I've read that when Anduin was recovering out in Pandaria, that is how he and Wrathion actually became pretty good friends, was by hanging out at the Tavern in the Mists and playing a little bit of games. And then, like I said, right above that is the Gate of Endless Springs raid. It's a fairly short, fairly straightforward raid. You can do it in a couple of minutes with a level 70 character. It's one of those that it's just kind of one and done. There's also a little quest chain that I do believe has something to do with the Black Market Auction House, but it's been a long time since I've done it, and I don't really remember if that's what it is or not. Anyway, we're going to go back down the path of 100 stairs and go on with the Storm Stouts as we finish up this half of the Valley of the Four Winds. So after you do all of your collecting of pigs and delivering of everything, you're going to land back down and do the little quest with Miss Fifi. Oh, also, by the way, if you didn't know, there's another one of the Lore Master Scrolls right there at the Thunderfoot Inn, or at Pangs Stead Inn. Forgot to tell you guys about that, and obviously Beryl had not actually gotten that one, so it's always good to know. But after you're done with that, the Storm Stouts, Chen and Lily, will move on, and you will head on over to one of the funnest characters. He's absolutely ridiculous, and that is Mudmug. Mudmug makes me laugh so much. He is a home brewer, and I'm not sure that I would really want anything that he brewed, because Mudmug, unlike those silly Storm Stouts at the Storm Stout Brewery, Mudmug, he doesn't believe in yeast. He doesn't believe in clean water. No, he believes in using bugs and dirty water. He says that is what makes the best beer. And if you don't believe him, you can just ask him. He also, I don't know what his real name is. He's kind of like the janitor from Scrubs. He's Mudmug, but when you ask him if that's his real name, he's like, no, it's not. But he and Shen Storm Stout, they bond a lot. And while they're bonding, you are off escorting Lily all over the rest of this half of the Valley of the Four Winds. During Lily's grand tour of this half of the valley, the first place she wants to go is up the Yanzi River and to the beautiful, honestly it is beautiful, to the absolutely beautiful Hunt Grays Falls. And when you're out with her, she tells you that you should always check behind waterfalls to see if there's caves, which is very good advice in WoW. Unfortunately, there is no cave behind that waterfall, but that doesn't stop me from checking them all anyway. Also, right across from the Silken Fields, which is Lily's next destination she wants to go to, is the spawn point of the world boss Galleon. He spawns a lot. He's an easy kill if you're a level 70. You can take him out, and I usually just end up getting a lot of gold. I don't know if he has a mount or not. Somehow I think that he doesn't, because I don't see nearly as many people camping Galleon as I see camping the Shah of Anger. But yeah, he is directly across from the Silken Fields, which is our next destination. Later on, you pick up a quest that actually sends you out to the Silken Fields, and it's a lot of fun. You feed some silkworms, you fight giant mutated silk moths. This is also the location if you are doing tailoring, where you can pick up some recipes, because the pandas here are definite tailors. You can see they've got quite the silk factory. If you talk to this guy in this building, he critiques your style, which I think is a little bit rude, but not too very surprising, I guess. After Lily is satisfied running around the Silken Fields and laughing about where silk actually comes from, she wants to head up to New Clefera, which is the last stop that she wants to go to before heading back to her Uncle Chen. The most notable thing about New Clefera is it is the site of yet another one of Lore Walker Cho's scrolls. It is also the place where you can find Clever Aisho, who is one of the Jinyu who does sort of a vision quest while you are out helping all of the villagers here in New Clefera with their issues. You get sent up right below the absolutely beautiful pools of purity and the waterfall that feeds them. It's a very pretty area. I kind of wish that the day I had been filming this, that it hadn't been a rainy day in the valley, because it's even prettier when it's sunny. But yeah, you can go around the pools of purity, do a few quests over here. Nothing too hidden, but it is worth a visit. At the top of the pools, be careful because there are little snapping turtles everywhere. And if you're doing it at level, they spawn really fast. There is also the patriarch of the snapping turtles over there. I do remember put up quite a fight back in the day when I was doing these quests at level. Also, if you are looking for the treasures of Pandaria, there is one that can be found. I've already found it on Beryl, but I will show you where. It is right up inside the mouth of this waterfall. So if you go up there, there is a treasure of Pandaria just sitting in that mouth waiting for you to take it. So after you are done taking Lily all around, you can head back to Mudmug's place and meet up with Chen and Lily and Mudmug yet again. It's also the place where you'll do a few more quests for Lily, and she will give you a punching turnip. It is a turnip that is painted to look like a carrot. You use it to fool the local vermin, and when you're done with that quest, she gives that to you as a toy as well. Now, Chen, while you were away with Lily, actually goes to the Storm Stout Brewery, and you do a fun little quest where you relive his memories of going to the brewery, so you actually pilot Chen Storm Stout around. It's a lot of fun. But that is what cements in his head that he doesn't need those stuck-up Storm Stouts from the brewery. He's going to brew his own beer, and that is where you head on out to Halfhill. Halfhill is kind of the hub of the entire Valley of the Four Winds. It is where you learn fishing. Back in Pandaria was the first expansion where you did not actually have to equip a fishing pole to fish. It's kind of wonderful. Although these days, if you do have a fishing pole, you can equip it in your new fishing profession slot. There's also another one of the scrolls of Lore Walker Cho. It is right up here on this house. And another fun little thing that I love, and there is a quest that sends you to it. I think it's one of the final cooking quests if you get your Pandaren cooking all the way to the absolute top. There is a little hidden cave in the middle of Halfhill. And if you don't do all the quests, you'll never know about it because it's hidden in plain sight, but it is kind of hidden. So if you go from where the scroll is and just jump off the edge of that deck, you come to the seed depository. It's kind of like the ones in Greenland and Antarctica where all of the seeds are stored in our world. But this is in Pandaria. It's a really cozy place, and I figured I would show it to you because it's one of those that I was like, wow, there's a cave back there. That is so cool. I really like Halfhill. It is a large farming community, and it is the location where you can have your very own farm. And just because Blizzard is Blizzard, you could never actually have anyone visit your farm, which makes me really sad because every character that I have, I max out my farm. So we're going to end this after we talk about cooking a little bit with a tour of my maxed out farm because darn it, I worked hard for it. The biggest thing most people know about Halfhill, even if they don't do the farming, is this is where you learn Pandaren cooking. And Pandaria was the first expansion that really expanded the cooking. There's a bunch of different recipes, there's a bunch of different schools of cooking. I don't think Blizzard ever went quite as in depth to the cooking profession as they did in Pandaria. And it's one of those, I don't have it maxed out on every character, but I do have it maxed out on Beryl, because why not? There are 5 different schools of Pandaren cooking, and it's a grind to get them maxed out, but it's also a lot of fun. And to get them maxed out, you're gonna want to do a lot of farming. So it's a darn good thing that you have your own farm here in the Pandaren expansion. I absolutely love my farm. I know a lot of people don't, and I really do wish that it was at least a little bit more like the Garrison, in that you could actually invite people over to it, but you can't. If you make friends with all of the tillers, and you have to be more than friends, you have to be best friends, you can trick out your farm with your very own yak, your pigs, you can have a cat, you can have a dog, you have your very own Mushin out in the field, you've got your beautiful crops. I love my farm. You also have a mailbox inside of your little farmhouse. You have a bed. You can do cooking there without lighting a fire because you have an oven. And you can even save there and use it as your hearth. I love the Pandaren farm. I love my good doggo. I like my sheeps. I like my chickens. It just makes me happy. The only thing I really wish is that I could invite party members to come and visit it, because it's a pretty special place to me. So that is the first half of the Valley of the Four Winds. Next week we will be switching back over to Onyx, who will take us through the Heartland, the Storm Stout Brewery, up into the Hosen Village, and out to visit the Hidden Master. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Leave me a thumbs up if you don't mind. It does always make me smile. And I will see you next week as we finish off the Valley of the Four Winds. But until then, we're just going to sit here and look out over my farm, and I will see you next time.